What do you guys
Big
think
deal.
about? Somebody in the chat says too how the mandates are dropping everywhere, a lot of places. What do you guys think about that play? Do you think there's something
That's
worse?
false hope.
Yeah, do you think it's something worse in the pipeline?
Oh, definitely.
I agree.
For sure. I don't know how they're going to play it out or what exactly that they're going to do. We could get like a whole new virus. Did you notice all of a suddenly within the last 2 or 3 days? I don't know if the US is doing this, but multiple countries are talking about a new strain of HIV, um, and how it's more like transmissible, and they're talking about it. So they're kind of hyping that whole thing up again. And I wouldn't be, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if there is, but I'm not going to go full blown like, oh, it's tied to the vaccine. Like, I don't have my own proof necessarily on that. It does seem like you have some other doctors talking about it, and I think that it's a possibility. And at the same time, we know that they've recently, within the last uh, maybe like 8 to 10 years, some new treatments as far as HIV goes, and people getting it like so low that they're not taking it as seriously as far as like having sexual partners and things like that. And that's just always concerning of somebody like spreading that shit around and them trying to develop vaccines for it. Like you could just be getting a more resistant strain of this, and some people are going to yell at me in chat like it's all bullshit anyway. I don't know.
Are you talking about AIDS?
Yeah.
Well, I do want to point out that it's basically impossible to get to, if it's real, it's basically impossible to get it from conventional sexual activity. And I'm the exact age that they scared the shit out of us when I was a teenager with all this stuff, and it
I remember that.
definitely affected my life without a doubt.
I remember
Oh
my
yeah.
I remember I was at like a fishing trip with my dad and we were on a in a hotel and I was really young and there was like all these stories about AIDS and I remember he like sat me down and had a conversation with it and he was like terrified of it.
Yeah.
I definitely
Meanwhile,
think
it's
that it's something where people should be like responsible, but you just being a responsible person, like if you're not, y- y'all know like the wild shit that goes together with that. So,
well,
typically there's a whole lot going on for somebody to get there.
well, I think it will. I do think it's important to point out that every single one of us got here because a penis went into a vagina, and they had us convinced that if a penis goes into a vagina, we might die. I mean, that's really what it. Which is
It's
again, it's
true.
basically impossible. It's basically impossible.
Also if you guys
Now, apparently,
notice,
women can get it easier than men. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say also if you guys notice H is the eighth letter and IV is Roman numerals for 4. So Jurassic's right again. It's 8-4, Obama's birthday,
Oh
the
man, shout
216th
out
day of the
to
year.
JL.
Shout out to Jurassic Liars. Yeah, Linda Curtis says the same PCR test was used to diagnose AIDS, and it's funny they have the same guy on the world stage, Dr. Fauci, also known as C.C. DeVille from Poison. He's the same guy that's like the face of both of these things over multiple, like 3 generations apart or two generations at least. That's just interesting to me,
Yeah.
I
I
think.
mean, I do know that we actually use PCR testing for all kinds of things, but there's typically a better standard to that test. The difference is that you're going to find whatever you want to find whenever you up those cycles so much. So we've used PCR tests for a really long time, and for the most part, I'd say that it's not like the worst thing in the world. It's just whenever you're like you could like I said, you could find whatever you wanted to find if you bump up enough cycles. There's going to be a trace of something there. Um, so that's I don't know. Like some of this has gone so far, and here's like where I'll probably get yelled at. Some of this shit has gone so far where people like don't believe anything anymore. And that scares the shit out of me. Where like people really, especially as far as like health goes, because if you even mention a virus, somebody is like out to get you like viruses don't even exist. Didn't you read this? Like you
Excuse me.
fucking retard.
Yeah.
And it's like Did you ever have strep throat as a kid? Okay, did
All
you
the
get
fucking
strep
time.
throat because it came from someone else, or you might have, Benton says, he probably picks it up easier. My partner picks up strep a little bit easier. So just being around a bunch of kids, could likely set that off. Some people are more prone to it. I don't know. Like, I feel at this point, people are just arguing to change the name of something. Like, okay,
Yeah.
we know it to be called a virus. That's the label that we put on it. We know this one to be strep because we have these symptoms. The same way that, like, people are like, gravity's just a theory. It is a theory, but it's a name that we gave something for whenever it falls down. Because if I, like, throw this can right now, it's gonna come down. I don't know what does that, but we labeled it gravity and it works. Like, what are we arguing about at this point? Just to change the label of something? Like, do you want to be the new founder of what we call it next? Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, that's these truthers, how the truthers have become like a religion, basically all that type of stuff. They're nuts.
Well, if you stay in your house and you never leave and you're a hoarder shut in, I mean, I guess everything does kind of seem fake.
Right?
Yeah.
And
It's
I
just
don't
gonna lead
personally
to a
care,
point where it's like
whatever
dangerous.
your opinions are, I don't give a shit. Go for it.
Yeah, I agree. You're just wasting time though, like Fringe said. It's just a word. As long as that word communicates what you're talking about, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, if people believe this way, I wonder, like, how are you living your personal life? Like, we can go back to the whole, I don't want to stay on that topic long, but as far as like sex and shit, there are transmissible things. Do you want to go find out about a virus like the hard way or
Yeah.
some bacterial infection the hard way?
Listen,
Like, because you can see that shit.
the reason you kids are getting super HIV is because y'all are out here eating ass on the first date. That's why.
Yeah, there was very little of the
There was
there
no
was very
ass eating.
little of that. Yes, exactly.
Back in the day, analingus was not a thing in our day. They socially engineered you guys to eat the ass, and now you wonder why you got HIV 2.0.
That's a good point.